guys, Susan here. Let's get started sewing the ruched dress, and that's what's next. Hey guys, if you're just tuning in, this is part 2 of sewing the ruched dress, and that is a dress that I have in from my collections. That was a very successful dress that I have here that I am going to that I have a pattern of, that I actually produced and designed the pattern of, that you're going to be able to get online when this episode is over. And it is called the Ruched Dress because it has a really cool thing about it. It has a center double panel, which is extremely flattering, and then it has gathers from the center panel that go all the way to the back exposed zipper with no gathers back here. This dress is a little bit larger than the mannequin, so it's a little draped on it, but we're not going to expose the entire zipper on this, and we're going to work on sewing this dress first, and then the last episode will be the zipper and all the fun stuff with that zipper. But this is, I want to show you the pieces again. I want to explain the first steps of sewing this. But before we get started, if you're just tuning in for the first time, hi, welcome. I am a fashion designer, instructor, motivator, teacher, and I hope that you will subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything, because I have a lot to offer and a lot that's already out there. So let's get started. Okay, the very first thing we're going to do with this dress, and just so you know, I'm between a small and a medium, and I'm doing the medium pattern. So go by my measurements on the chart when you're purchasing the pattern, and be very mindful of those measurements, okay? Because you can always get a little bit larger and then pull it in the back, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, so we're going to work with this first front panel first. The front panel is cleaned on the neckline as well as the hem. I can show you on the printed one. So it's doubled all the way through, as you can see. So we're going to go ahead and sew this bottom part and the neckline first. Here's the pattern down here. I'm just going to the two pieces together here. It's a 1/4 inch seam around the neck, and then there are notches here for the hem. There's an inch hem, so I'm going to be sewing that like that straight, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I drew the line here because I wanted it to be straight, and sometimes if you cut a silky fabric, it's not very straight, so I wanted that to be as straight as possible. And like I said, this is an inch, and this was a 1/4 inch up here. What I'm going to do on the neckline is now clip around the neckline a little bit like that, and I'm going to take some of this excess out here. I'm going to cut it out because we don't need all that excess fabric in there. All right, and then I'm going to turn it here as well as here, the neckline and the hem, and I'm going to press this. So press this, and I'm going to then, after I press it, don't forget we have notches here, I'll explain that. I'm going to sew these pieces together here so it doesn't move on me and it stays nice and flat. So I'm going to press the hem and the neckline, sew a stitch here, 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, and I'll be right back. Okay, this is stitched down, so now it's nice and flat. It's not going to move around, and we're going to make sure there's not going to be any gaps or bulging. This is the second piece. This is the other piece. Before I even start to talk about this, I want you to know that my pattern has notches. And the notches are the roadmap to my patterns, because it's not going to come with directions. This video is your direction, so just keep that in mind. So here we have notches here, here, and here. And we also have a double notch over here, which is considered the center back. This is the gathered area that's going to go into this area. And we have notches to correspond here, here, and here. The first notch is an indication of where the actual gathering starts. So there's not going to be really any gathering up here. It's going to pretty much start here or just a little bit above that. So I'm going to take this pattern piece off, and I'm going to individually gather each one of these pieces here from the first notch all the way down, and I'll be right back. Here we are. I gathered both sides. I did a double row of gathering. I pulled on the bobbin threads, the back threads together, and we have notches. First, I'm going to put it together here at the shoulder. It's going to be a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then we're going to follow our notches. We have this notch here that has to match this notch here. So I'm going to put notch to notch, right sides together. A little trick, I put a pin here on the right side because this is matte jersey and both sides look the same. So you can keep track and keep it consistent. Put some kind of indication. I have a pin there, so that's why I know that's the right side. Right sides together, notch to notch, pinning that together like that. And then trying to get this is silky fabric, so it's a little tricky. You want to get it butt up there against the edge. Then you look for the second notch. Here's the second notch. You've got to find the second notch on here and gather it, so I'm going to put that to there. I've already worked it out, so where the gathers are exactly where they needs to be on my pattern. So just make sure you follow that. Make the gathers as flat as you can this way. And adjust it if you need to, a little bit more or less. And then pin them together like that, all the way down. This is the last notch. Let's find the last notch, which is right here. And then we have to find the last notch here as well. So where is that? Right there. So again, notch to notch. Pin that down. You can move the gathers a little bit with your pin or your fingers and keep it as flat as you can, like that. When you're working with a home sewing machine, you can put the pins this way. Not normally doing it that way with an industrial machine, but I'm working with a home sewing machine today, so let's go ahead and put it this way, and I may switch it up. And then here, very important, just like the front had an inch hem, this is the inch hem notch. So that has to go here to the very end, because afterwards it's going to be pulled up. It's going to be turned up, okay? So we're going to go ahead. So I'm going to put it here to the very end, because afterwards it's going to be pushed up, so it'll match that at the end. This together like that. Like I said, adjust the gathers as you see fit. Do the other side, and then now we're going to stitch right along here all the way up 1/2 inch. Let's keep going, notch to notch, adjusting the gathers as I go. Sometimes you can use a pin to adjust the gathers. Okay, there's the gathers. I'm going to do the other side and I'll be right back. Okay, let's serge or marrow that edge. All those layers together. off a little bit of the excess so that I make sure that I get every layer. All right, I'm going to do that to the other side. Okay guys, the next step before we can join the shoulders, because this is the armhole and then these are the shoulders, is that we have to clean the back neck to match the front neck. So I'm going to turn over to the right side. I have the bias pieces, remember those two pieces that we had to cut out? I marrowed one side of it only, then I'm going to put it right sides together. And I'm going to be stitching 1/4 of an inch around this neckline. And the reason why I made it bias, because I think it'll flex a lot nicer that way. Even though it's a knit, you don't necessarily have to. I prefer to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew that 1/4 of an inch on both ends. So this one is the right side. Now I'm going to take here as well. This is the right side. And the marrowed edge goes on the bottom and the raw edge goes to the neckline. So we're going to put right sides together, 1/4 of an inch around that little curved back neckline with this bias piece like that, so we can clean that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I stitched it and then I back stitched it. That way the neckline will roll properly and you won't see the inside of it when it's done. It will fold out nicely. So now we have to put the shoulders together. There's no side seams to this dress, right? This notch on the bottom here is what would be the side seam, and then you've got the shoulders. We have to open that up. We have to stitch 1/2 of an inch for the shoulder. Like that, and that will be the shoulder like that. So I'm going to stitch that on both of them and then marrow that edge, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so here we go. This was the back neckline. I marrowed the entire shoulder section. So this is going to turn back like this and clean the back neckline as well as part of that shoulder. And that's how it's going to be cleaned all the way around the neckline. And we'll do that at the next episode when we do the zipper. So now we're ready to put a sleeve in here. We have the armhole right here. So here we go. Here's the sleeve. Again, the notches, the back notch, the center notch, and the front notch. I'm going to take the pins off. And I'm going to stitch right sides together. So I'm going to put the right sides together and put 1/2 of an inch seam allowance here underneath the arm, as well as this side. And then I'm going to marrow it and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so I have stitched the underarm seam of the sleeve, the 1/2 an inch. Then I cleaned it with my marrowing stitch. I marrowed and cleaned the hem. And then I put a looser thread or a size 4 or 5 stitch here at 1/2 an inch where the sleeve cap is, so that if I have to ease it, I can. And then there's no side seam, guys. Remember that the side seam is that notch underneath the arm. So I'm going to put right sides together with the sleeve and the underarm notch like that. Then I'm going to turn it this way so I can see it better. And I'm going to match notch to notch like that for the front. And then I'm going to match notch to notch for the back armhole like this. I'll move this one to this side so I can have the stitching all on the same side. And then here with the cap, I have the notch here that goes to the notch to the shoulder seam. Like that. And then if I have to ease a little bit here, I can either stretch it when I sew it or I could pull it a little bit. So I'm going to pull that thread underneath just a little bit here. And that's the bobbin thread, so I'm just going to pull it on the cap just to ease that little bit of excess that's going on here near the cap. You don't want to see a gathering stitch, okay? You don't want to see a gathering stitch. I'm going to go ahead and pin that again together like that, and make sure that it fits perfectly. All the way around the armhole. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and then I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch and then narrow the edge, and I'll be right back. Hey guys, I wanted to put it on the dress form so you can see this is how far we've gotten. We're going to get to the metal exposed zipper next week and all of the other pieces that go underneath it, like the comfort panel. But it's fitting. This is my size dress form, so it's fitting it pretty good. This is the medium, like I said. And I hope you love this video. Give it a thumbs up. Get this pattern, guys, so you can sew along with me. And I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye. Don't forget to like it.